And just like that, and just like that, hey guys, I gotta tell y'all, we are starting to get some crazy chemistry because pre-show I was like, you know what? It started with me and AOC arguing. Now we talking about we on the same team. He just sold me on Brian Schottenheimer. The Cowboys Collective gonna bring some heat today because Cowboys fans that got me fired up. Yo,
Okay.
nah, honestly, seriously though, what's going on, y'all? Cowboys Collective, episode 10. We are keeping this thing rolling. We are staying consistent. As always, thank you guys for tapping in with us. It's like the way the channel is growing. Before you know it, it'll be out of this world. So thank you guys so much for tapping in. So as always, we're gonna check in with what's going on around the star, around the Cowboys land with the one, the only, John Machota.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you this right now. The Cowboys took a back seat these last couple of days, but it ties in with the Cowboys because there's no way you could have convinced me 3 days ago that there'd be something that could happen in Dallas that will get people saying, "No, man, there's a worse GM in Dallas than Jerry Jones." I'm like, there's no way that anybody could do that, and it happened. I mean, it happened.
Yeah,
and it's continuing. It's continuing.
The very first thing I thought of during this Luka Doncic trade was, "Hey, Jerry deserves all the smoke he's getting." But what you have to say, that's a move. There's no way Jerry makes that move. Like, no. Jerry does not let superstars go like that. And so for all these people in Dallas that are heartbroken and have been these last few days because it's Luka Doncic trade, that is one of those things where you can say there's a lot of things Jerry does wrong, but Jerry never would have done that to y'all.
You know what? I know this is Cowboys talk, but I just really quick, just everybody give me their thoughts. Like, I saw you even tweeted about it, John, like, high level, low level, like, could you believe that? It's nuts.
I mean, bro, I'm gonna tell you right now, my energy has still not recovered. Like, I feel like I have been depressed since that happened, and I'm not even like nearly as diehard of a Maverick fan as I am a Cowboy fan. But is being a resident of the city, bro, being a member of the Metroplex, being here for the last 20 plus years of my life, bro, that hurt. And that move kind of ripped something out the city. I'm gonna be honest, man. They can go ahead and move the Mavericks to Vegas now, man. Nobody cares no more, man. Y'all can take them, man. We done, bro. We done.
I think the thing that I would say is interesting to me is just like, why? Like,
oh man, it was a great move, man.
Oh my God, this dude a Lakers fan, bro. I'm not.
Say, man, it was a great move. It was a wonderful move. Let LeBron James get it in with Luka Doncic. Yes, baby, Luka Legend, baby. Come on, baby, Luka Legend. That's what we gonna call him.
I always try and bring everything back to the Cowboys, so I'll just say this.
Luka.
For anybody that thinks, they group obviously the Yankees, Lakers, Cowboys in the same breath. Man, in my life, man, I can't even think of a time the Cowboys have been bailed out the way that the Lakers get bailed out. Anytime stuff starts to quiet down, it's like, man, these last few years would be a great time if the NFL was trying to hook it up the way the NBA hooks it up for the Lakers.
Man,
there'd be plenty of times to hook it up for the Cowboys.
Man,
I'm just gonna say it to you like this: there's no way in hell that the NBA would ever let the Lakers go 29 years without being in the Western Conference Finals. They will make sure that they get somebody, and that's the thing that's so crazy. My whole entire life, like, it's always like, no. When things start getting quiet with the Lakers, something will happen there. And you cannot say it's the same way with the Cowboys at all. I mean, really, the Cowboys, when's the last time the Cowboys have even made a move that was on that type of level? I mean, I can't think of anything since maybe 2018 during that bye week when they traded the first for Amari Cooper. But outside of that, man, I can't think of really many moves that they make where you're just like, I mean, because when that move happened, the very first thing I thought of is what's the equivalent to the Cowboys or to the NFL? And the very first thing I thought of is that is absolutely Joe Burrow getting traded to the Cowboys for Dak and like a second round pick.
Yeah,
the whole league would be like, wait, something's going on here. This doesn't make any sense. Why is it allowing?
That's honestly a pretty decent comp, but
listen. I'm not a Mavs fan. I know how good Luka is. This was crazy to me, John. I just was like, what? Wait, what? You honestly, everybody who said it, you thought it was fake. That's exactly what it is. Now, I'm always the type of person who's like, get down to the details of it. And it just sounds like even with that, it still was like, okay, if he did this while he was out of shape and smoking cigarettes, and,
Right.
he was able to, whatever the case, drinking beers. Like, it clearly was good enough to get you to a Western Conference final, well, the finals, not a Western Conference, the actual finals. So I just really like if there was something more. I actually do feel really bad for Mavs fans because in basketball terms, it may actually be really good for them this year.
Yeah.
The problem is for years to come, you're gonna see Luka doing great things in LA.
No, the problem is this, Foots. The problem is this. Mavericks fans are completely different from Cowboys fans. Okay?
Yeah.
Mavericks fans, their rooting interest is based off of straight up loyalty. They do not care about championships. Like, Mavericks fans are not a championship thirsty fan base, bro. They're more about being able to claim that they had Big Dirk here for his whole career. They're more about being able to like call somebody their own, bro, and just be loyal to that. Mavericks fans was all about loyalty. They completely killed the loyalty aspect of the relationship between the fans and the organization. And I'm gonna be honest, they could win a championship this season, and I still feel like Mavericks fans would be depressed. They would still be depressed, bro.
Wow, that's a great
That's a great I didn't think of it like that.
observation there. Yeah.
Well, here's the part that's going to really suck for them is that, so let's say they win the championship this year, like, well, that'll be fine as long as the Lakers never win one with Luka, which that seems unlikely. That seems like that they're going to get at least one or two with Luka there because they'll put the pieces around him. And then the other thing is that it's not just about that championship. It's about every time Luka has a big game in LA, you got to hear about it and how that's your guy. And you're going to have to hear that for the next 10 years. Like, it's going to make you like kind of sick about the whole league, And so again, I try and bring everything back to just how, like, comparing it to the Cowboys and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just really can't see like how they would ever do a move like that.
They wouldn't, John. Like Jerry has shown nothing in his history.
People
He's
talk
shown
about
nothing in his history.
and maybe that there's stuff that guys can't, that he does. It might rub the organization the wrong way. They'll just deal with it. Jerry will deal with it. Be like, we do not give away superstars. Vice versa. It's kind of like the Lakers. The Lakers wouldn't do that. If the shoe was on the other foot, the Lakers are
they wouldn't.
John,
the Mavs,
is that a situation and scenario, John, that could be part of the problems with the Cowboys because we don't trade away, we don't get nothing back in return from our players?
No, because that's the best player.
I would say it's more their lack of aggressiveness. I would say it's more of their operating
I see
kind
what
of
you're saying,
like,
Law, but yeah.
Right. I'm
like
talking
just,
about overall completely.
Yeah. I mean, I think they could take more chances, but I don't think that you want to move away from stars. Because to me, like the model franchises lately for me, the ones that I think are run the best are certainly what the Eagles have done with Howie Roseman. And then I look at San Francisco, and like they're really not trying to move stars. They're trying to find a way to get McCaffrey. They're trying to find a way to get A.J. Brown. Like when you see
Baltimore's well run too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, no, there's definitely other ones for sure. But those are just two that maybe it's because in the NFC, I'm always used to them and they've been kind of in the Cowboys way. And then also I just look at like the other day when the news comes out that, Myles Garrett wants to be traded. I'm like, I don't even think of the Cowboys in that, but I automatically am like, watch the Eagles find a way to get this thing done. There's just always something about like the way Howie runs that team that you're just kind of like, man, that's wild. But the flip side of it is though, too, is that Howie could pull off one of those moves like a Luka thing and do it and be like, and the whole fan base could be furious at him, but he's the general manager. And so if he has all that say to do that, he can do that. Whereas like with Jerry being the owner and general manager, that comes down to Jerry. And so Jerry could do that move too. I'm just telling you, I don't see any way that he would ever do something like that because he's not going to get rid of a star player, especially a star player that's really just entering their prime.
Man, and real quick, I'm going to just...
take it.
If there was ever a time for Jerry Jones to win back the adulation of the common man, now is the time, Jerry. If that football guy persona that you care so much about, that you were damn near shedding tears up there at that press conference because people are doubting your football acumen at this point. This is your time to salvage that. The Metroplex is down. We are down and out. Any kind of move of any type of importance, of any type of latitude that you can get with the fan base, now would be the time to get it, Jerry. That's all I'm going to say. Now would be the time to get it. He could honestly completely flip how people feel about him right now by taking advantage of just how bad Nico Harrison, the Dumonts, and the Adelsons are with what they just did with the Mavericks, man.
No doubt.
Yeah, and I'm blindly optimistic, AOC. I think that Steven and Jerry are gonna I think people are gonna be pleasantly surprised with how they move in free agency. And I could be wrong. And John has fought me and said, Foots, slow your roll because they haven't showed anything. But I think even last week, I went back and actually listened to that press conference. These guys don't admit when they're wrong. They really don't. So them saying that, it's cool. So now I want to get to there's a couple topics that I really want to talk about, but John kind of segued into it. So Myles Garrett and Cooper Kupp. How do we feel? Is it real? I know Vegas had the odds things. I don't think that it's real. Number one, I don't even think that Cleveland is going to trade Myles Garrett. Number one, he's under contract. They just extended him. They're not trading Myles Garrett. He can throw a tantrum, whatever. You can write a public press release. And it's always interesting, John, because is Myles Garrett going to sit out games? No, he's not. I very rarely do athletes say, you know what, I'm going to get cut, or I think maybe did Le'Veon do it?
Le'Veon Bell.
His career was never the same, bro.
And it was never the same. It was never the same. So, but just from your guys' perspective, how do you guys feel? I know a lot of I said, look, at the end of the day, Myles Garrett is a needle mover. He's the one player who I would come off a first-round pick this year and next year to put him with Micah Parsons. I would do that. Foots would. But that's me. I know that, but I don't think that it's happening. I don't think they're trading him, but just that's the one player that I would say, because he's that good. He is that good that if you put him with Micah, it's literally a cheat code. The way that we're seeing Saquon with Philly's O-line. So that's me. What do you guys think?
You say that, and I hate the conspiracy theories, okay? And so I hate to even put this out there because I'm going against everything I believe in. But even with that, because a lot of my friends that are from in Detroit, they're Lions fans, they're saying a lot of the same stuff about you put Garrett on the opposite side, Vaden Hutchinson. And I'm just going to say, man, there's just too many games I watch where you're just sitting there going, really? That offensive line is holding up those pass rushers, and you just go through the game and they're not calling any holds. And it just there could just be, you think it's frustrating now when Micah Parsons is getting held and they're not calling it? Imagine if you have Micah Parsons on one side and Myles Garrett on the other, and no one's getting home, and they're just letting that stuff go. How frustrated you would be about that. That's the only part of it where I'm like, because to your point, Foots, if you were to get him, you're putting so much into it. You're going to have to, it's at least this year's first, and then who knows what else, whatever. So, I mean, it would have to be it would be the only move that you could really make for probably multiple off seasons.
That's true.
Hey, if it pans out,
it's Charles Haley 2.0. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. No. If it pans out, I love it, because to me, really, DN pass rusher is number 2 behind the franchise quarterback for me. Left tackle, all that shutdown corner, all of that stuff's important. But to me, it's I need a premium pass rusher on my defensive line, and to have 2 of those guys, believe me, I'm all ears. So I would listen to it. I'm with you, Foots, on it.
To a degree, we've seen this happen before to a smaller scale. The L.A. Rams, they had Von Miller, they had Floyd, and all of those boys. So
Aaron Donald on that team altogether.
It could be possible.
Yeah.
Y'all know how I feel about it. I'm about to throw some gematria at y'all. Hey, Law, we talked about this already. John, I'm going to throw this at you and see what you think about it. Matter of fact, John, I need you to float this to Jerry them, because this might make them be like, maybe we do need to do it. Myles Garrett wears number 95. What year was the last time we won a Super Bowl?
The 95-96 season.
Okay, Myles Garrett is from Arlington, Texas. Where do the Cowboys play?
Arlington, Texas. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, there's a lot of stuff going on with what was the other one, Law?
Yeah. He will be 30 this year. It will be 30 seasons. Come on with it. Come on.
Hey, the stars are aligning, damn it. Bring Myles home, man. Hey, that would be the only way I'm okay with trading the first round pick this year, bro. Because and I'll say a GM actually came out and made a comment about the kind of value that it would take to get a Myles Garrett that he thinks. And he said he don't think it'll be multiple firsts. He said he think it would be a first and something else plus a player. That's what he thinks.
A soul for a soul. Come on, give him Trayvon Diggs.
I think
real talk. I'm sorry, Trayvon, but real talk, man. I'll pack your bags for you. Hey, Greyhound. Hey,
In the first. Come on.
You know the funny thing about that is, Law, that Cowboys fans would have no issue with moving Trayvon. I mean, we got to think Diggs may not play next year. So, and then if you're Cleveland, I mean, can it be more worse? Deshaun Watson is hurt again. He's out again.
Yeah.
So it's just like, this is crazy. They spent all this money, and if you're Myles, I understand. Like, Myles wants to go somewhere where he can win. I think he would love to be in Dallas, to be honest with you.
Right.
Because while everybody in the world can make segments and talk about Dallas, this, that, and the third, players want to play in Dallas. It just is what it is.
Myles made that clear before he even got to the league, though. He made that clear before he even got here, bro. The Cowboys were nowhere near being able to trade up to no damn pick to pick Myles Garrett. And he already pretty much was pleading with Mr. Jones, come get me. Go get him, Jerry. Go get him.
Go get him.
We're going to talk about another draft pick who wants to be in Dallas. But before we get to that, did we hit on Clayton Adams and the rest of this staff last week? I can't remember.
No, they hadn't finished.
They hadn't. Okay, so let's. Oh, you know what? Actually, no. I'm a terrible host. Let's get to Cooper Kupp for a second.
Right.
Yay, nay. For me, with Kupp, it says this is where I'm at with Cooper Kupp. He's an older player. McVay wants to move him. McVay made it known we want to go a different way than Kupp offensively. Like, we want our offense to have more juice. So that's just kind of like strange to me. But Cooper, it seems like he's fighting back in a way like, I can still play. I still add value to a team, and he wants that to be known. How do y'all feel about Cooper Kupp?
I think that Cooper Kupp is better than Jalen Brooks, Jalen Tolbert.
Thank you.
Well as,
that's fine.
Mingo. I
Not
think
for
that
real.
he's better than all of those boys, and immediately you're going to have to still pay attention to him. Now, he do play inside the slot with two-way goals, and that's where CeeDee Lamb is at. But give me Cooper Kupp. I know he's 32. I remember, I'm old enough to remember that the Cowboys made a big move to go get Terrell Owens, and he was 32. So,
man, you stole my take, Law.
Oh, I stole it. Yeah. So I just move all of the old stuff out the way and just let Cooper Kupp just get out here. And John, do you do your research on the Kupp family? Because I heard that possibly that Cooper Kupp had like a grandfather or somebody who played for the Cowboys.
No, I've never heard that, but
Yeah,
they did have this thing for the Athletic where whenever there's a player on a team that's being offered up for trades, they put it out to all the writers in a Slack channel that cover all the teams. Like, hey, if the team you cover you think would be interested in them, we're going to send in a proposal, and then the writer that covers that team takes all the proposals and then writes a story. So I didn't jump in on the one for Myles Garrett, but for the Kupp one I did. And so my offer was basically what they gave for Brandon Cooks. It was a 5th this year and then a 6th next year, but that the Rams would have to take on a huge chunk of what his salary is.
And they said they would. They said they would already. Yes.
Wow.
So if that happens, then I would be very interested, because to your guys' point, I just think he's, even at 32, even with some of the tread not on the tire that was maybe in the Super Bowl year when he won the MVP. I still think, like you said, better than Tolbert, better than Brooks, better than anybody else you're going to have at that 2 spot, and you'd be giving up a 5th and a 6th. Like, I mean, that's a risk I'd be willing to take.
You got 85ths this year, so
right.
I'm gonna tell you, John. Y'all three have just sold me. I was kind of on the and this
I saw
you
tweet that you didn't like it.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy, John? That I'm okay with moving off my points when I hear other good points. And I haven't dove in enough to even, because I'm just like, well, Dallas won't do it. They haven't done so much in free agency, and he's an older player. But when I think about you guys, when I hear you guys say it, it's like, well, that kind of does make sense. And I want to debunk this. CeeDee Lamb can play on the edge well. Mm-hmm. I think that Mike McCarthy found a cheat code that was like, you know what? With what we want to do with this West Coast scheme, getting the ball out quick, doing some of this stuff, if we just put him in the slot and run overs and slants and drags and anything in breaking, that we'll just get the ball to him quick and these guys can't guard him. But, like, I think it's one of the biggest misnomers that CeeDee Lamb he does his best work in the slot. No, he does his best work wherever he's at on the football field. CeeDee Lamb, I went back. Go ahead.
I was going to say, one other thing I was going to add just to tie it in kind of with the Luka Doncic thing. The Lakers are getting a very motivated Luka Doncic because of his weight and everything that's being put out there. whatever team gets Cooper Kupp will be getting a very motivated Cooper Kupp. If you read his statement, you can tell he's not happy about this at all, that he thinks that there's plenty of tread left on the tire. And obviously he's super close with Matthew Stafford. He wanted to do the exact Luka thing. He wanted to play his whole career with the Rams. So somebody that gets him, I do think you're going to get him. I mean, as long as he can stay healthy, obviously there's, that part of it, but I do think you'll get a very motivated Cooper Kupp.
I got the research. I got the research here. Jake Kupp.
Okay.
Is the grandfather of Cooper Kupp, I believe, and he played for the Cowboys.
Wow. There we go, Law. That was a long nugget right there.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a long nugget. Wah. Hey, I like that. No, but seriously, the Cooper Kupp thing, I'm sorry, it checks all the boxes for Stephen Jones' deal that he would like to do. Okay? It's going to come at a discounted price, 100%. He has 2 years left on his deal. The Rams have already said they're willing to eat $20 million of that deal, bro, to facilitate a trade. That would bring Cooper Kupp's annual average down to about where the Cowboys are paying Brandon Cooks at right now. So you would essentially be trading out that salary with Cooks and Kupp, and then, bro, you still can go get a receiver, get a running back, and you've completely reloaded this offense. You got CD Kupp, a receiver you drafted in the top 2 rounds, a new running back. You got your offensive line guru coming in to come fix some of these guys. Bro, your offense is done right there. It's done.
And for as conservative as Jerry has been over the last 15, 20 years, when he has wanted to make a risk or take a chance, it has been on wide receivers. Whether you go to Roy Williams,
Callaway.
Yep, exactly. That's the one spot where he has shown that he has an infatuation with wide receivers. So
James Washington. Oh, my bad.
All right, Law.
All right, but
go behind the piano, Law. Go behind the
piano. This honestly would also make it to where you're not pigeonholed to have to draft a receiver high. I know that report came out where it was like Dallas is going to go receiver in the first 2 rounds, which I don't disagree with, because we're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah. I want to get your take on that, because I want to hear what you guys think, because I haven't really studied the wide receiver class, but just from my perspective, it just doesn't seem like it has the juice of a typical wide receiver class at the top. I mean,
it doesn't.
So it's got some players, but it doesn't seem like it has the normal flash at the top that maybe. But then again, CeeDee Lamb fell to where he did, Justin Jefferson fell where he did, stuff like that. But it just doesn't seem like it has that Jamar Chase type guy,
Well, last year's class, John, I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., that was the class to get your receiver. I told Cowboys fans that. I told them that. They fought me. We traded back. We got Guyton, who I like Guyton. And I think Guyton is going to be fine. I've gotten so many debacles, and Law, you've been around when I've talked to people.
What you want, Guyton or Ladd right now?
Oh, I would like Ladd McConkey, but at the end of the day, I personally see, this is what's happened, and we'll just jump into it, and then we'll talk about Clayton Adams. Probably say the problem with Cowboys fans is you got spoiled by Tyler Smith. You got spoiled by a guy you didn't want. I'm looking in the camera at you guys. Nobody wanted Tyler Smith. Oh, who's this kid from Tulsa? They didn't know that. Yeah, Nick Saban was going to bring him to Alabama. This is when NIL was first popping off. Oh, trust me, he was going to be one of those guys. And so, he was definitely one of those ones, right, Law? And so you got spoiled by Tyler Smith because, he's going to be a guard. Wait, whoa, Tyron Smith goes down, boom. And then he's boom. Tackles take time to develop. Andrew Thomas, year 1, wasn't great. Olu Fashanu, last year, couldn't even get on the field over Tyron Smith. He struggled with the Jets. So at the end of the day, we it's just like, because he's a lineman, AOC, and we're getting reports he didn't work hard. But when he was training with Duke Manyweather, everybody loved him.
I'm not buying that report, bro. I'm not buying that report.
I was actually going to ask John. I know I went on a tangent. I was going to ask John, since we're talking about, and I know this went from receiver to tackle, but no, to answer your question, John, no. This receiver class is not as deep. This O-line class is not as deep. People want to sell you on Kelvin Banks, send them my way, because we're going to sit down and watch the Georgia tape and the Ohio State tape. It was bad. It was awful. Kelvin Banks versus Georgia, you wouldn't draft him in the first 2 rounds. He's not a tackle.
Wow.
You would not draft him in the first 2 rounds, Law. He's not a tackle. He's not. Go watch. I want everybody go watch that game. Both of my Cowboys
got passionate
and Jalen Walker.
Boy, we got you passionate, bro.
They both. Matter of fact, both of those Georgia kids will probably get drafted off of that game. If you remember, Texas couldn't move the ball.
I can tell Foots don't live in Texas. I can tell Foots don't live around here.
So with the Kelvin Banks stuff, it's just he's a guard. You taking a guard at 12? I
don't want to hear a damn thing about no offensive lineman in this draft, damn it. I'm tired of offensive linemen. The Cowboys were drafted 5 skill position players on the offensive side since 1997. It's time to do something different. Y'all always talking about, oh, Jerry keep doing the same thing over and over again. And y'all want to take a lineman every year in the draft. It's time to get some skill position players up in this piece, right? 5 guys since 1997 in the first round. Are you serious? The Cowboys are the only team that have drafted more than one offensive lineman since 2020, bro. Y'all trying to get their third offensive lineman since 2020. The Lions are the only other top team that have drafted an offensive lineman in the first round since 2020 on the NFC side.
Yeah, and it's also when you look at like, Zach Martin is doing a bunch of Radio Row stuff today in New Orleans, and it just had me thinking because just his sound, it was kind of like, yeah, it doesn't seem likely that he's going to play. You know, he's still. I mean, he's technically a free agent or whatever, but just the way he was talking today, it didn't sound like that there's a high probability of that happening. And it just had me thinking about how I'm like, yeah, but you know, he's going to the Ring of Honor and he's going in the Hall of Fame, and Tyron Smith probably the same thing. And you had them with Travis Frederick, and you didn't get any further than you did.
We didn't do anything, John.
So you hit on all those.
That's a great point, John.
And to be honest with you, they're kind of the reason too, on some of the stuff you were touching on, Foots, about Tyler Smith and that, like with Guyton. That's also their fault too, because Zach hit the ground running and Travis hit the ground running and Tyron Smith. So everybody assumed that the Cowboys had that offensive line cheat code. So that factors in with people being not having patience with Guyton. And then the other part of it, though, even though these are totally 2 different positions, it's the fact that the previous draft class, you didn't really get much out of Mozzie and Schoonmaker. And so it's like when they stack up like this, that's when fans start getting really frustrated because they're like, I thought all this was draft and develop. Well, if we're not drafting and developing these guys, then what are we doing? But I'm with you. I think Guyton's going to be fine. The only thing that the sense I got from the team was just the coaching staff was that they just wanted him to be available more. It just seemed like there was always one injury after another to where not even necessarily as much on Sundays, but it was, Monday through Saturday in the building, like being available for all the practices because of everything that you could learn and how much he had to learn because he was obviously a right tackle in college, moving to playing left tackle. But yeah, I never got the sense from anybody in the organization, from Mike McCarthy on down, that anybody was had any any nervousness about Guyton's future or anything because of the way his rookie year went, But then again, a lot of people try to sell the same thing on Mozzie Smith, and I don't see it with Mozzie. So
you're fair to with Mozzie, John. I can't fight you on that because at the end of the day, he's shown something, but it's not enough to validate where you drafted him. Tackles is different. It was like, hey, we just did a whole segment on Myles Garrett. Hey, Tyler Guyton, you've only played 9 games to tackle in your career, but go block Myles Garrett game 1. And then after that, go block the Giants D-line, which was pretty good, Brian Burns and those guys. And then after that, go block somebody. Like, that's tough. On a left tackle, that's tough. Yeah. And then, oh, by the way, who here love Mike Solari as an O-line coach?
Exactly. Like, why are we trying to replace the whole offensive line when we all came to the consensus like, hey, this coaching staff isn't doing that great of a job with these guys? Bro, you got to see, man, you just came and recruited Clayton Adams, man. They sat there, recruited that man, had a 6-hour interview with him. If you don't let him get his hands on them damn offensive linemen and see what we got in these dudes first. Like, he had 3 journeymen in Arizona.
I got a conspiracy theory.
What's up, brother?
What position did Jerry Jones play while he was in Arkansas?
Offensive line.
That's why they drafted an offensive lineman. That's where he comfortable at.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, but
I'm just playing with y'all.
You could make the argument that Zach Martin is the best one of the bunch, and Jerry really didn't want Zach Martin though.
He was that the
Johnny Manziel year?
Yeah,
he wanted
Johnny.
And my point is this, guys. We watched Cooper Beebe play excellent. Okay, right. Year 1. He's fine. I'm of the mindset, and I'm not the biggest Brock Hoffman fan. I mean, I watch film, I see the warts, but at the end of the day, scheme hides some of that stuff. We watched the Lions team with 5 first-rounders, Jahmyr Gibbs, get housed by Washington. Some of that was their defense. Also, some of that was play calling. Ben Johnson peed on himself. But at the end of the day, having an amazing O-line does not mean that you're just going to win. Like, I think that you need guys. One thing that Philadelphia has, and John, you just brought it up. They have guys. You know what? They don't have the greatest quarterback. They may lose this Super Bowl because I'm pretty sure Spags is going to choke the run and make these guys pass the ball. But at least you're passing the ball to Devontae Smith, who they drafted top 10, by the way, and then went out and said, you know what, that's not good enough. We want to get A.J. Brown. And then they say, you know what, that's not good enough. Let's bring in Saquon Barkley. Guys, your only weapon, only person on this team who has a run over 30 yards last year, I think, was CeeDee Lamb. That's not good enough. And maybe Turpin on a jet sweep, whatever. And here's my thoughts about Turpin, because he gets brought up a lot. Oh, they weren't using Turpin right. Guys, I love Turpin. He doesn't do receiver things great to me.
Because you're right. No, you're right.
If somebody else, if he was that good, somebody else would have found him. Or he would. My point is, he's a special teamer. He's great, good at the Pro Bowl, all of it. Love you. Thank you. Great job. But the point is this. Bro, you need to get some Jimmys and Joes in here, John. If you guys want to sell me on Cooper Kupp, cool. He's a Jimmy. That's a Joe. He's a guy. He's been a guy. He's a Triple Crown winner. 1,800 yards.
And he still got some of the best hands in the league. I mean, regardless of, he still got some of the best hands in the league.
I'm done. You will not see Foots' channel talking about Jalen Tolbert made a great play at training camp. Not doing it. I'm not doing it, bro. Like, I'm done. I'm done.
It'll be a different receiver.
Well, we got John. See, John is the GOAT when it comes to what he tweets the videos out. He feeds them to us. We like crack fiends because we love ball. We like, look at Tolbert. Look at him. He can do it. I don't even think Tolbert's had a 500-yard year. Did he have 500 yards this year?
But you know what happened, Foots?
Tolbert
did a lot of great things, but it was against Carson. So we was fooled. Oh my God!
So I think that I listen. Nobody fought for Tolbert more than me, but I just think the whole philosophy of because then let me
go get blue chippers. Go get blue chippers. Go get blue chippers.
Here's my thing: if you're telling me that this move and this head coaching staff was meant for Dak, but you're bringing in linemen, I just don't see how that helps.
It doesn't help.
I just don't see how that helps.
It doesn't. Like the logic doesn't make. It's killing me with this whole O-line thing. The teams are built from the trenches. Man, you can't go get something from the trenches in free agency or something. But some dudes that are already ready made and built and ready for the NFL. See, here's the other thing that bothers me about the Guyton. Just go back to it real quick.
Stay there.
It bothers me about the Guyton thing because can we use our eyeballs, please? If you watch football, if you know football, if you know athletes, Guyton did not have his grown man body yet. He does not have an NFL body yet. That's why he was getting injured. And let that man put NFL weight on. Let them mold his body a little bit. He walking around looking like me. You know what I'm saying? Like Guyton, he needs to be molded still. He still has to get that. He has to be calloused. Because remember how Tyler Smith looked his rookie year too? He didn't look all built and strong and He-Man like he looked now. Tyler Smith like he's staying in the weight room now. He did not look like that when he first got into the league. Guyton needs time to not only develop as a left tackle, but he needs time for his body to catch up to what they want him to be. So that's
and I had somebody tell me, and this is what I said. I mean, I said, yo, him and Joe Alt gave up the same amount of sacks. So this is what happened to Guyton too. Since we're gonna really I want to put nuance to this thing. Guyton, John, had the penalties. And then Guyton had a few other situations where it was like maybe a hold, maybe he got beat inside. And then before you know it, he became the punching bag. It's just like Flozell Adams. This guy's the worst player. Somebody in our chat, thank you, Oscar. That's a great point. 9 games in college, John. 9 football games. Before that, he was a defensive tackle and a end or a tight end. I mean, he's an athlete. Let's give this guy time. I want to turn the page now because we'll stay there literally. And you guys know nobody's changing my mind on shit. Last point. I know I said I want to change the point, but I want to
go ahead, bro.
John, when I tell you draft fatigue and the hipsterness of draft stuff is so real, because I just talked about, and I guess I'm on the couch now, and I need John to kind of be my psychiatrist. I just talked about not tweeting out a highlight situation, and I tweeted out a video of Mike Green, the defensive end, and he had a highlight play. But what happened is when I watched him in team law, he could not stop the run. He wasn't great against the run. It's like, yo, I've seen people starting to be like, yo,
let's draft Mike Green at 12. Bro, he does not need to be anywhere near the top 10 of the draft.
I know, yeah. No, and they're forgetting about all of like James Pierce, all the Georgia kids. I'm like, yo, are y'all serious? And the only reason why I say this to tie this around, John, you are a Florida State guy through and through. And the same thing happened to who? Jared Verse. Yeah. Everybody jumped him. Everybody forgot how good Jared Verse was. So I just wanted to bring that point up. It was just like, it's just crazy to me. So moving on, guys. Clayton Adams. How do you guys? I'm really excited about this hire. How do you guys feel high level from each of you guys about Clayton Adams?
Go ahead, John. You got it.
I didn't know a ton about him up until this whole process, just because I don't really follow the Cardinals like that. They don't really give me a reason to follow them like that. But when you look at what he's done for their run game, and you look at his track record coming over from the Colts, and that, it certainly seems like that's a big part of what he's known for. And then you add that in with Brian Schottenheimer's first time in his life to be a head coach. He's going to want his OC to be somebody that thinks like he does and has a similar thought process. And so because of that, I just really feel like that there's just going to be a bigger emphasis on the run game. And so I'm with you guys. It is the Jimmies and Joes. So, I mean, but we just don't know who those guys are going to be yet. I think that you're going to see them draft one pretty high, whether even if it isn't at 12, maybe it's in the second round, but there's just going to be a bigger emphasis on the run game. And just by making this hire, it makes that clear. And so, and I just think that I'm in the same boat as you guys with the whole, it was time for they needed some freshness on the coaching staff of that offensive line. There just weren't many situations where you felt like guys were really getting that much better. And I do think that they're at the point where you got to find another Terrence Steele type guy, where it's a late round guy or an undrafted free that you can get something out of. He doesn't have to be an all pro, but you got to get something out of some of these other guys to be a swing tackle or, fill in at guard here or there. So, there's got to be some other way you shouldn't have to need 5 first-round picks on the offensive line. And so if this offensive line coach hits, then I think it's really worth it. But it's all going to come down to Schottenheimer because he's the one calling the plays. But he's obviously wants somebody that he feels comfortable with, that has the same mindset that he does. And their mindsets really just speak to they're going to try and fix this run game with no matter what it takes to do that.
No doubt. And then on top of that, what I look at it from this particular perspective is that we may already have them on the team. TJ Bass, Awesome Richards.
Thank you.
You drafted Nate Thomas. You got to give some of your guys some work action. And that's one of the things that we've been having issues with, is that we would draft a guy and we'll shelf him. You'll put him on the shelf. And we would scout some people and we'll put them on the shelf. So let's give him a chance. Let's give these guys a new opportunity with a different coach, a different feel, a different vibe, and we may already have it in-house.
Where it really hurt them is that they just to never really get anything out of let's go and Ball. It just that stood out to me because that mid rounds is where throughout McCarthy's time in Green Bay, they were able to find guys that went on to not only be starters, but be, the David Bakhtiaris, the TJ Langs were the really good players, Corey Linsley. And they just never really were able to find any of those guys that are like that. The only one that you could say would probably be Terrence Steele as an undrafted guy, but in those middle rounds, they swung the bat, but they didn't get any hits there. They needed one of those guys to pan out.
Yeah, and as far as the Clayton Adams thing and just in general how I'm looking at this coaching search, because I don't want fans to get the wrong idea, make them feel like we're telling you you're going to win a Super Bowl or we're overhyping these guys. We're not overhyping these guys. We're looking at the process. We're looking at how the staff is being built, what it's being built with, and that's what's making me excited about what Schottenheimer has planned, because if you just look at it one for one, the quality of the coaches that you're getting with Brian Schottenheimer is completely different than the quality of coaches you got with Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy got a bunch of his drinking buddies and his barn buddies to come to the Cowboys with him. Like, seriously. Or he got a bunch of guys that were unemployed or, hadn't been in the league for a year or two and were taking breaks, whereas Brian Schottenheimer is going and he's looking at the best programs across the league, college and in the NFL. Yeah. And he's trying to pick assistant coaches that are a part of the successful aspects of those programs. And that's what has me excited, because you look at your running back coach now and he's with the Saints. And you're like, okay, he's had some productive years with the Saints. Nobody realizes Alvin Kamara this past season with that running back coach we had, this was the most yards he's ever had in his career rushing the ball.
I didn't know that, AOC.
Oh my gosh, man.
Nobody realizes that, bro.
Hey, you got me cracking up over your barn buddies, man.
No, that's what it was, bro. Like, so that's where my excitement is coming from, is because I feel like he went and got the best. Yeah. And I feel like as long as you get the best, like, that's all we can ask for at this point. Is about, okay, let's get the players on the field and let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens.
I agree on the barn buddies thing too, but I've always brought up the point with other people. You just, sometimes I like to just take and put myself in certain situations, and I've done that with Mike McCarthy over the last 4 or 5 years. And I do think that there are some times where, I don't know, call it, you get paranoid or you don't know what's going on around you, where you do want people in the foxhole that you've been with for a long time, because even though you might not think that this guy is the best coach or, whatever, you want some wingmen that got your back, that you can trust, that when they see some BS going on, that they can be like, hey, coach, I know you're not seeing this, but man, this is happening and this is happening. Be careful here. And
those people get you fired. I've managed restaurants and businesses, brother. You hire people that you trust. Using those mofos to get you fired, bro. They get you fired. They get you fired, bro.
Hey, AOC, that draw show up. The draw show up short.
Real talk. Hey, you can trust them. They gonna tell you everything going on, but they gonna be in that mug like, I'm friends with the boss. I ain't gotta work for real.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
No, like, and I feel like that's honestly an indictment on Mike. The fact that he felt like he needed, because we don't see Brian Schottenheimer only going to get guys he coached with in Seattle, or only going to get guys he coached with other teams. He's going to get guys that he probably don't even have all those close relationships with, but he's confident in their abilities, and he's confident enough in himself where their success doesn't threaten his position. And to me, that's big. And Zach Martin kind of spoke to that a little bit this like today, where he was like, there was something off. Like, I love Mike. Mike's a good guy, but there was something off about this season with Mike.
So I think AOC, and I was thinking about this as I see the people he's hiring. Make no mistake about this, to me, John, I think Clayton Adams is gonna know more about run game than Brian Schottenheimer. Like, especially modern run game with some of the pinpool stuff. Because I mean, like all those gap schemes and all those schemes where it's like the aiming point, guards going which way, and like I just remember watching that Arizona game, and I'm like, yo, whoever's calling this game, first of all, it was Drew Pessing, but then it was just like they were taking advantage of how fast we were flying upfield, and we weren't like pressing the run, and they were just getting through gaps, and it was just like the offensive line was well coached. Not a lot of first rounders on that offensive line, you know what I mean, and the back was
James Conner. It's not like James Conner is the best back in the league or anything.
And Clayton Adams had those guys playing well. I also did a deep dive on how well they attacked Philly and attacked it was the same thing. They found out some of Philly's weaknesses, and they were able to attack them on the edge with edge runs. So I think that what Clayton is saying is this. Brian Schottenheimer is putting people around him that are smarter than him. I think that's a great sign of leadership. The other thing is this. I think that Mike got to a point where he was only calling runs because he had to call runs. Right. And I think that's something that this Cowboys team can't afford to do next year. What do I mean? You're running the ball because it's a run down. You're not running the ball to get first downs. You're not running the ball to get explosives. You're not running the ball to set up this. You're not marrying your runs and your passes. You're literally running the ball because maybe it's 2nd and 5. You don't have any plan of getting this first down or stressing the team. That's one thing I'll give Philly. They're running the ball because they think they can score on runs. They think they can do certain things on runs. And I just think that with a guy like Clayton Adams, the way the run game will look different. The way it'll hit, it'll feel different. We just didn't have any of that.
And one thing I wanted to add to that, some people have talked about with Arizona that they had a running quarterback. And so they ran the ball well these past 2 seasons, not just this last season. So this past season, I completely give you that with Kyler, 572 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. But if you go back to 2023, they had about the same type of run production, and Kyler Murray only 244 rushing yards. It wasn't like he was this major, Jalen Hurts type thing where it's like, well, he's going to be a big part of the run game. So, and again, I think James Conner is a good player, but I don't look at James Conner like, oh, well, they got Conner, so you're going to get 1,000 yards or something like that. I think he's coming from a good system. So, I mean, if they fix the run game, I just think a lot of other stuff falls into place. So that's a good place to start.
Yeah, and I look at Matt LaFleur's run game. I've studied a lot of his stuff throughout the year. Maybe try to catch a little bit of a game on like all 22. Just watch some of his schemes. They don't have all first rounders across that line. They've shoveled some things around, but guess what they did do, John? They went out, they got Josh Jacobs. They said, you know what, like you, Aaron Jones, but I think Josh Jacobs is a little bit better. Josh Jacobs had a great year this year. And I just think that, and this is no knock on Rico, but I always remind Cowboys fans of this stat. He didn't have a run over 30 yards. He scored 2 times. Don't give me 1,000 yards because, I mean, what's my guy in
Najee
Pittsburgh?
Harris? Yeah.
Najee Harris has 1,000. He's had 1,000 yards. Nobody on this panel right now looks at Pittsburgh and said, "Man, we got to stop Najee Harris, or we're going to lose the game."
You know what the problem is with the run game? It's the same problem that's been existing with Dak. Is we spend so much time focusing on Dak, we don't realize it's actually translating to other players. Mike McCarthy's scheme was 2-player dependent. Okay, and that's way that they were running the ball was 2-player dependent. Our run game was so uninventive, unimaginative, to where honestly, your best runs came at times where they just tried to run it behind their best lineman. The scheme wasn't opening up. The scheme wasn't creating lanes. The scheme wasn't opening up those avenues for a running back to get easy rushes. It was always run behind Tyler, run behind Zach, run behind Tyler, run behind. You didn't see all the pin and pull action, and you didn't see all the you didn't see all the stuff that you're going to see with a Clayton Adams or with the running back coach from the Saints. It was literally like so vanilla of a run game, bro.
It pretty much continued from the previous administration,
Yeah.
And what most people tend to do is they say the same thing with this right here. Well, the Cowboys had it in 2021. We had Zeke with 1,000 yards. We had wide receivers with 1,000. Dak Prescott threw for 4,000. We couldn't get it done when we had run game. But when you go back and watch those tapes, all of the Cowboy fans, you can see that we were not running that ball like what we seen out of Baltimore or what we seen out of the Eagles. It was always, like you said, AOC, running behind the offensive line. Nothing really much creative. So hopefully with this new regime, we can see some of that.
Mm-hmm. No, and chat, y'all in there. Hey, I appreciate y'all going to war on my behalf. I appreciate it, man. But hey, chat, we have a good conversation here. Ignore those crayon eaters talking about me yelling, man. Screw them guys.
Man, listen, it wouldn't be the Cowboys Collective if we this is what we need. AOC brings the energy. Now, for this last 10 minutes, I kind of want to get to some questions from the chat.
Oh, we got a super chat, baby.
I see we just got a nice super. Let me ask you, you know what? Let's read this since we got a little time. Law, we have too many. This is actually for Law, so we're gonna let Law in his shades and his bandana, John.
Yeah, Law over there turned. Yeah, Law, what you got going, boy?
Law, we have too many brittle players. We need players already built for this game, and stop trying to build-a-bear players. Oh, okay. They also should want to play because they love the Cowboys and want to get that shit. What do you say to that, Law?
Man, not everybody's going to be in love with the Cowboys like that.
Not real talk.
Not everybody's going to be falling on the same page. They're looking to get that check, and you know how that goes. So, yeah, we do need known commodities. There's the unknown and there's the known. So, for example, we was talking about offensive line play. If this particular Clayton Adams, not really fond of TJ and Austin Richards, he already know Will Hernandez. What about bringing him in for a cup of coffee instead of drafting the offensive
Exactly.
lineman? And I know Will Hernandez got into a fight and a scuff with the Cowboys when he was with the Giants or what have you. But let's bring him in and let's see what that can do. So, yeah, and I don't think that he's brittle. I think that he's aggressive. I think that he will fit right on in with the kind of caliber of scheme that we try to run here.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I mean, and I agree with what Law is saying. And Law, I saw you. We'll dive into a little draft talk. I saw your video on Josh Simmons, and by the way, I think that you're spot on with Josh Simmons. I think he's a really good player. Here's the problem that I have with these linemen versus the linemen last year. So it was clear that last year's class, Olufashanu, Joe Alt, was like we really got to read tea leaves when it comes to drafts, right? And I'm not saying that Josh Simmons wouldn't be a great tackle, but he would have been tackle 6-7 in last year's class. We're drafting at 12. We're not drafting at, and I'm not trying to change your mind either, Law, because I know you're just doing the content, but
I was stating in my breakdown is that he was phenomenal this pre-injury. I'm
about to say Law team, right? His team skill position. Law's team skill position.
Yeah. Although
I
try to be fair and balanced with my assessment because you just never know. And me and AOC, we talked about this. And John, you can jump in too. When was the last time we had an offensive lineman in the National Football League to have an ACL tear to come back to be as normal? We talking about north of 300 pounds. We only seen Adrian Peterson, right? Come back from an ACL to play back into full tip-top shape. But I'm not really fond of drafting a guy who coming off of an ACL in October and inserting him in for the strongest, hardest position ever, left tackle, and expecting him to be the same. You may not get the 2024 version of Josh Simmons until 2027 or 2028. That's too long. That's too long of a process. So no, but I did break down his pre-tape, but his post-tape, we don't have it. So that's why I say move on.
No, real talk.
I mean, guys, I think, and I'm gonna say this every time we talk draft. I really do think people overthink this process. I really, really do. And what I mean by that is this. You could have a guy who's been healthy. Let's talk about Genty. People say, first, you love Genty. I do love Genty because Genty is that good of a player. You could have a guy like an Ashton Genty, John, who been healthy, literally saw 7-man. They said he saw they have never graded a running back who has saw this amount of boxes in college football since PFF started grading running backs. Just hasn't happened. 151 forced missed tackles.
Crazy.
That's incredible.
That's crazy work. That's crazy, bro. That's like literally like 10 of those a game, dog. That's crazy.
But we will say, you know what? No, we could do this and then go get somebody in the second round. And you can do that. But why? What's wrong with saying, you know what? I'm looking at LeBron James. I'm watching LeBron James. I'm going to draft LeBron James. Or I'm looking at Kyrie Irving. I'm watching Kyrie Irving. I'm going to draft Kyrie. I'm looking at Luka. Sorry, like Mavs fans. I'm going to draft Luka. Like, I'm going to draft the best because
you ain't have to do that, man. You ain't have to do that, Foots. You ain't have to bring basketball into that damn analogy, Foots.
I'm going to draft the Ferrari. So I just think that has gotten just completely out of control. Now, I will say this, John. The one world that I see no Genty is McMillan, and we haven't addressed receiver in free agency. And I'm okay with getting the best receiver or a receiver who you graded a certain way.
Yeah, I'm cool with McMillan.
Let's be honest, John. What if there's a team that says, you know what? I like Burton more than McMillan. I like the run after the catch. I like the electricity. Former 5-star. McMillan is kind of takes a while to get going. Drake London, that we comp him to Drake London, but maybe we want Deebo Samuels or whoever they think that Burton is. Okay, you could sell me there. You can't sell me on a lineman in this class when it's just not there. So
I think that first round just screams wide receiver, running back, depending on what they do in free agency. And the only way I would say that would change is if there is some type of pass rusher that they are just like, I can't believe this guy's still here at 12. We cannot let this go, and that could change a lot between now and the combine because, there's be measurements, there'll be, interviews, certain guys will shoot up the board and stuff. But if there's somebody that they're like, man, we would have taken this guy, this pass rusher, if we had the 5th overall pick and we're sitting here at 12 and he's there, that's the only way where I'd be like, hey, if that's what you think, if you think that this is another Micah Parsons because let's be honest, they took him at 12 and he absolutely should have been a top 5 pick. If there's something like that, I can get behind it because you're taking the best possible player. But in terms of getting the best possible player and filling needs, like, man, I just don't know how you wouldn't come out of that first round without a wide receiver or running back, depending on, like you said, what they do in free agency.
If you need 15 yards and you can only run the ball and you got 3 tries, and you got Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Ashton Jeanty, who you taking, Foots?
If I need 15 yards and I only got 3 tries, Bijan, Ashton Jeanty, or Jahmyr.
Yeah.
So this is probably be a shock to people. I had Jahmyr. Remember, Law, I had Jahmyr Gibbs over Bijan.
Okay.
Here's how I look at it. I would go Jahmyr, Jeanty, Bijan. Here's why. I think people don't give Jeanty the credit he deserves running between the tackles. I think that Bijan may be a little bit more electric in space, but Jeanty is a very violent physical runner. I don't know why he just doesn't get that credit, but like he runs between the tackles very, very well. And like he does not go down on first contact a lot.
Yeah, 1,900 yards at the contacts. Yeah,
it's amazing, Law. Now with Gibbs, I think Gibbs is the full pack. I'll never forget this, y'all. I'm watching Gibbs his first game against Kansas City. I challenge everybody in the chat. Go watch the highlights from Detroit 2 years ago when they played Kansas City. And right then and there, it was the same thing that I saw when Zeke ran through who was the safety and when he
Cam
was
Chancellor.
Remember that play, John?
Yeah.
And I just said he's special.
I got to go watch that play. I'm gonna go watch that play.
Go watch Jahmyr Gibbs versus KC. People probably don't remember it was a Thursday night game. He had a few runs, but you just saw the pop in the way he ran. Now, listen, I like Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan Robinson, he got it. But I think that people are going to be very impressed when they see Ashton Jeanty, and he's not the focal point of the offense either. Because you got to remember, you bring him into Dallas, CeeDee Lamb's still the best player. Ashton Jeanty is there to be a shooting guard.
He's a release valve.
Yeah,
he's a release valve. He doesn't have to run the show. Dak is still Dak. Dak is going to make every read. Like, and people got to remember, 2016, John. I mean, 2014. That offense where Tony Romo was, that's where Dak is now. Probably even better as a processor than Tony.
You'll get some hate mail.
You know what? I grew up on Tony. I grew up fighting for Tony.
Yeah, you did.
But I think that processing wise, Dak is. He processes everything. Well, I think what happens with Dak is when he has to chase big plays.
Yeah.
Well, you got a big play machine in the back, and I would still draft a receiver, even if you signed Cooper Kupp. I would still draft one.
Yeah,
100%.
See, my whole notion of getting Cooper Kupp is when you go into the draft, you won't be drafting on an empty stomach. Have you ever went shopping on an empty stomach? You fool around and pull
pick up everything.
Everything, man. You don't need them Oreos.
I love that. I love that analogy.
Yeah. So you just go ahead and make sure you have something on your stomach. And we can do the same thing for all of the other positions that we need. But don't play around, Cowboys. Don't fool around and sign us Rico and say we don't need a Gente.
Oh, boy. Hey,
what will Rico want? I know he's a free agent. What will Rico
with Tony
want
got? He gonna try to get closer with Tony got. I bet
he's gonna have to get. I remember.
You think so, AOC?
I think he'll try to get closer with Tony got.
He better not,
No
because
way.
here's what I remember. I remember the Eagles scooping up DeAndre Swift for like $5.5 million or less than $5 million, and I said, "Ain't no way." I think that Rico, his number should be somewhere south of that. I think it should be somewhere south of 3.
He ain't taking that. You are out your mind. You think he taking that after a 1,000-yard season, bro? Behind what everybody said was a mid offensive line. He is not taking that, bro.
Is he better than Dobbins?
No.
Dobbins got hurt. He keeps staying.
I'm about to say Dobbins can't stay injured. I mean, healthy.
All right.
So
all right, I got to ask you guys a question. We're gonna pretend like you're general managers here.
okay.
You lying? Are you lying to a player saying that you're gonna be our featured guy like that? Let's say in free agency, just to get cover, even though you know you're gonna take somebody in the second round.
For sure.
Hey man.
For sure. So here, John, I'm calling Rico in the office. Hey, Rico, listen. Rico, we setting up an offense, right? This is how the offense is gonna look. Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna get 10 touches. May bring in a guy. You use the word may, so they can't hold you. Right? I'll say we may draft a guy. We'll see how it falls.
No, real talk.
In the back of my head, bro. You see this kid from Boise State on these highlights? You got one more year in this Cowboys uniform, and we gonna draft. But no, so yeah. Listen. Hey, Rico, come on in. Listen, preserve your body. We're gonna split carries. We'll have a better scheme. We'll make sure that these linemen are locked in a little bit better. And you preserve yourself. You don't want to go be a league guy, 20 carries a game. It's not you. You've been hurt before. Come on in.
Come on, man. Work with me.
You can even hit him with a little bit of that Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, how they both ran.
Yes, sir. Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
That's why I'm not cut out for that business. I'd have a hard time doing that stuff. I know you got to do it, but I just
$3 million. $3 million will be my max. $3 million will be my max.
I have everybody on podcast calling me liars after they retired.
Hey, before we go, John, let me ask you this. It's been a great show. John, what do you think they told Zeke? I want to put John Machota, AOC. What did they tell Zeke to get him back here? In that general manager Jerry, what did he say to Zeke?
Oh, he probably just told him some fairy tale story of how he'll end his career. Like, you don't want to end your career with another team. You know, you had so many great years here, end it here. And just told him about how great everything would be, and it would be just like it was before when he was, jumping in the kettle and leaping over guys and stuff. And to be honest, I think that, because I can kind of attest this myself just from not being from here, but living here now. I know Zeke loves it around here, so I'm sure that it wasn't that difficult to sell Zeke on. I mean, this is where Zeke's going to probably live for the rest of his life, and so it was probably real easy. And then just talking to Zeke at training camp, obviously he played Ohio State. They play some cold weather games, stuff like that. But he just really made it seem like he didn't want no part of playing outside in the cold after playing that one season in New England. So coming back down to Dallas, playing inside, playing on turf. Like, I think that they both, like Jerry and Zeke, love the storybook type thing of it. And then Mike was just like, yeah, no, that's cool. We'll do that.
Until he got here and seen Jeff Blasco. He got here and seen Jeff and was like, God dang.
But he already knew, I thought Blasco was here before with him, but he was like an assistant offensive line coach.
He wasn't a running backs coach though.
No, he
the running backs coach passed away after Zeke.
Right.
They brought Skip Pete back, remember? Well,
right.
No, yeah, you're right. Skip.
Yeah. They brought back Skip Pete, and so I think part of the thing was they wanted, because Blasco wasn't really a previous running back coach, they wanted Zeke to kind of be like the leader of the room too. Be kind of like player coach, lead that room there. And I don't know if that's really the best move for Zeke.
You late, Zeke. You late.
Yeah, I know that wasn't. I pray that wasn't on the menu. They was definitely doing stuff wrong. If you asking Zeke to lead the room,
oh, can we bring this up, John? John, real quick. I know we're at the end of the show. John, is it normal for Jerry, bro? When the last time we seen Jerry?
Yeah,
I know. He didn't go to the Senior Bowl. That's crazy. Yeah.
Is it normal to not hear from Jerry? I swear, I felt like we heard from Jerry at least once a week last year.
That's a great point.
Well, I can just tell you that all of the front office is supposed to, or every team's front office is supposed to do an end of season press conference, and so we thought we would get Jerry on that, but the team public relations fought the Pro Football Writers Association on that, because they said that we got Jerry for 40 minutes at the end of that game after Washington, and like obviously other owners and GMs don't talk that long, and so
Jerry
they used that
back on media obligations.
I think that his PR staff is probably involved in that. But then they also made him available for 30 minutes after the press conference with Schottenheimer, and so I think that's also why. And then I think they just figured, well, he just talked to all you guys for 45 minutes here. Why do you need to talk to him 3 days later at the combine? What else is he really going to say here? So he didn't end up going. I'm sorry, to the Senior Bowl. So he didn't end up going to the Senior Bowl, which he normally does. But he'll certainly be at the combine, which will be in like 3 weeks, where he'll do that on the bus interview thing and all of that. But I don't know.
This feels like a more quiet offseason for the front office than it normally is, to be honest.
Could be.
One more thing.
Maybe something big is coming.
On your way out, John, is Stephen Jones a little embarrassed with the 30-year thing?
Oh, I don't know if he's embarrassed, but you could tell he tried to walk it back when he was at the Senior Bowl. He did a couple interviews out there. I think that when he did the air quotes, I don't think that he realized how much that was going to really
got a lot of
people.
traction.
Yeah,
way too much traction. Way too much traction.
No, it got a lot of traction. So I think that's part. Like, I don't think he was expecting that to become like a main story. Because let's be honest, for his entire time with the team, he really doesn't become the main story because Jerry's always the main story. You know, if you say that they're both going to sit up there and take questions for 30 minutes, there's probably 5 or 6 things that Jerry's going to do that are going to be all the headlines. That Steven's stuff, people won't even talk about it. So I think that he was probably surprised by it. So that's why he tried to really clarify at the Senior Bowl that, no, I understand. I'm not saying that it isn't a drought. We know that blah, 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 whatever. But yeah, if he could do that over, he never would have done those air quotes. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. I'm telling y'all now, we'll be coming on this show talking about some free. I do believe, John, they may not be Eagles active, but I just have a hard time thinking that they won't be active at all. But I know we got to go.
Can we get a bet going? If they do sign an impact free agent, I need whoever think they want to hit themselves in the face with the egg, bro. And if they don't, I will smash an egg on my face on the show. If they don't do nothing if they don't do anything differently, bro.
It'll be. Well, I'm gonna tell you, it'll be Law and John because they don't believe they're done.
Yeah, so it all depends on like what you think what they could do. If you think that it could be like 2 off seasons ago where they made the trade for Cooks, they made the trade for Gilmore. I think
counts. That type of move counts.
Yeah, I think that is possible. Certainly after the way Steven talked about reevaluating their what they do in the offseason stuff. I think that's possible.
Now stand on business, John. Now stand on business. You don't think they're gonna do nothing? I need this bet going.
Well, I don't know if that's
they're trying to get us. And they're trying to get us, man. We gotta work together.
I'm talking more along the lines of like the big fish type guy, like a Myles Garrett or like somebody like real notable like that. I just don't see them doing any type of big move like that. And the reason I say it is because every time any of these players become available, I get these emails from all these different betting sites. And the Cowboys are always like top 5. It doesn't matter for Kupp. They were number 1 on the one I got this morning on Myles Garrett. I'm like, in what world are we living in, people? Like, they don't do moves like that really anymore. So
watch my video.
We'll see.
Hey guys, for all of us, man, thank you guys so much. 252 people in this offseason, so I know things are going to slow down, but we don't take you guys for granted. Thank you guys so much from the Cowboys Collective. Thank you for the super. Thank you for all the comments. We will be back same time next week. And Law, you got anything to bring us out, or are we good?
I don't got my tools.
Play something on that piano.
Go ahead,
Law. Show us how the piano work.
Come on, Ray Law.
Me to the moon.
All right, y'all, we're going to end on that note. Much love, y'all, please.
And remember,